can we talk about Alabama and Auburn?
Yeah.
Because this was, as I said at the top, I wouldn't say it was necessarily the best game that we've seen this season, but it was my favorite game that I've seen all season. Just because the rivalry, we talked about it on Tuesday when we did the show leading into the game. That we wish that the Alabama and Auburn had a better basketball rivalry because both these programs are budding and turning into something.
Yeah.
And I ripped on last time we spent some time talking about Bama. I ripped on their atmosphere at that arena they have because it was just like I don't know if it was the fans, the arena. I have no idea, but like
no students.
The Auburn arena, it looks awesome on TV and it looks like it's loud as hell. Alabama, most of the time I watch Alabama, I don't get that vibe through the television. I got that in this game. This was just like absolutely rowdy, absolute madness. It felt like these guys were playing slam ball, like where every single guy was trying to dunk on each other, but then like
that's a great way to describe.
Like that's all it was. It was like everyone was trying to dunk on each other. It was physical as hell. They're like checking each other in the air as they're trying. JD Davison had this sick dunk on who was that on? Was that on Kessler?
I think it was on Kessler.
I think it was.
Yeah. I think but no shade to Kessler because Kessler impacts the game. I think he only had 2 points in this game, but he still impacts the game.
Wendell Green was the star of the game. Well,
19 points off the bench.
Jabari Smith is the star of the game, stat-wise, and in the sense of like he's the most talented guy on the floor. He's going to be the number one pick. I think he's going to be the number one.
Did you see Jimmy Dykes said that on the broadcast? He was like, he basically was like, Jabari Smith is the number one pick.
Are we locking it in?
I mean, that's what he said. He said it was locked.
I think we're getting there though, because who?
Well, no. I agree with you. I think he should be the number one pick, but I think that the propaganda of Paolo Banchero and the propaganda of Chet Holmgren, you haven't even seen once CAA gets their hands on these kids.
That's true.
They're shooting them to the moon, and they were already the ones. Like Jabari's still the outsider. He looks the part, though.
This is a good point. I wouldn't say Jabari Smith is a lock to go number one. What I would say is if you ask me who I would take number one, I would say Jabari without hesitation.
Same.
Yeah, because he like him and Paolo feel similar. But Jabari Smith's a much better defender. He can do everything Paolo Banchero can do, except he can also defend at a very, very high level.
And he's also kind of old school with the way that he seems to approach the game of basketball. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he has a chip on his shoulder a little bit. Big motor.
So here's why I came away from this game obsessed with Auburn. And I say that as a guy who I wear my feelings about Bruce Pearl on my sleeve. I do not want to live in a world where Bruce Pearl has the best team in the country, but I also call it like I see it. And Auburn is playing out of their minds right now because we know Walker Kessler, we know Jabari Smith. Those two guys are elite. Walker Kessler didn't even play that well against but Auburn's defense anchored by those two in the middle, blocking shots and using their length and all that. Auburn's going to win a ton of games just based on that. They're going to win a ton of games because Jabari Smith is unstoppable and is the Kevin Durant of college basketball.
Yes, I think it's confirmed now.
All of these things are true, but ultimately, I have always felt that, and probably because it's true, that when it comes to nut cutting time, when you're in the NCAA tournament and like it's a tie game with 2 minutes left. What ultimately it comes down to is guard play. And Jabari Smith is not a guard. He can play on the perimeter. He can shoot. He can make plays off the bounce. He is not a guard. He's not a guy that you're going to have the ball in his hands, like waving guys off necessarily. Maybe we'll get there. He's not there right now.
Yeah.
And this game to me, Tate, with the rivalry aspect of it, the madness going on inside that arena, the fact that Auburn had a big lead, Bama comes back to tie it. This game became as good as Jabari Smith was. Wendell Green was the difference. And what I mean by that was like, as you're watching, you could tell that Bama's guards of Shackelford and Quinterly and JD Davison, that's what makes Bama good is their guards. Mm-hmm. And this was a game where it did get to like the pressure cooker was turned up. There were guys were just like staring each other down and trying to make plays. The guards, I mean, to where it just had this environment that like it felt like to use the cliche, it felt like an NCAA tournament game because they threw everything out the window in terms of like running shit and trying to find the best matchups and all that. And at a certain point, something happens in these environments, whether it's the crowd or whether it's the tension of the moment, whatever, where guards just have a tendency when the ball is in their hands, they're like, I'm going to make a play. And I don't like that. That happens across all of college basketball. Regards like I'm gonna take this into my own hands. And a lot of times it does not work. Mm-hmm. Indiana fans listening understand that they're like, God, I wish
not
that
always
wasn't
the best case. Yeah.
That is not always the best case.
But the best case is like a Ty Lawson scenario.
Yes.
Which is just like, I need buckets. I'm going to go get an easy bucket, drive to the basket.
And what I learned from this game is that Wendell Green is that guy. He can be that guy because, as I said, Alabama's strength is their guard play. Like, if there's a reason you want to talk yourself into Alabama being a great team, it's how talented their guards are. Wendell Green stared them all down. Was like, I'm going to take over this game. And I don't know if it's like a conscious
3 steals.
I don't know if it's like a conscious thing where he looks up at the clock and he's like, all right, there's 8 minutes left. It's my time. Or if, like I said, it's just a subconscious thing where you're bringing the ball up, you feel the moment, and you're like, I'm going to take over. Whatever it is, Wendell Green can be that guy. And for that reason, that would be the one question mark you would have about Auburn as you've watched them all year is like, can the guards at like an elite level in the SEC compete and make plays for this team? And the answer is definitively yes. That's what I learned from the Alabama game. So,
absolutely. And that was a great test because Alabama has 3 guys that, I mean, Davison was the number 1 point guard in the country, so he thinks he's going to play at the NBA level.
Which is funny. Davison, he's from Alabama, right? He was supposed he not supposed to be.
He was the Alabama.
He had Auburn and Alabama on his final list, and I think Bruce Pearl thought he was going to get him. He doesn't get Davison, and then I think they go out and get Wendell Green because Davison commits to Alabama. That's just the funny wrinkle about this game. And then Wendell Green.
See, that's why this game could be a real rivalry because that's how rivalries work. It's always like that kind of kid, you know? If you look at Carolina right now, like Jeremy Roach, Duke takes Jeremy Roach. Caleb Love wanted to go to Duke. Duke takes Jeremy Roach over Caleb Love. Caleb Love goes to Carolina. And then Caleb Love, when he plays Duke, balls out because in the same way with probably
Will wanted to go to Carolina.
Exactly, and then kills Carolina.
Yeah.
He's like going at Brian Morrison and Adam Boone. It's like, you win, dude.
Oh man. Anyway, that's
I believe in this rivalry. That's what I take away from this game.
Yeah,
also.
as well. Me as well. The Bama fans showed up and showed out. It was a great environment. I
not that they believe in moral victories, but it was a good game. And Auburn might be the best team in the country. So if you're Alabama, you're saying we're okay. Hey there, thanks for watching Titus and Tate. For the full friend of the program experience, subscribe right below and come join us for all things college basketball. The action is heating up. Come join Titus and Tate.